yeah, it's still way too expensive. It isn't cheap, absolutely. And I think that's another reason to have a look at Boox and people like that. I still think their tablets are incredible. It's going to be really difficult. I've been so looking forward to making another top 10 video, but then there's just been so many releases. It's just like every time I think I know what's currently going to be top 10, what order it's going to be so I can make the video, somebody writes to me and says, we're releasing this soon, just it's coming for review soon, hold your horses. And I thought about maybe a nice video of like, so sort of see every release that comes and how they kind of slot into the thing, almost like a league table. We'll see. And yeah, it isn't cheap. Remarkables aren't cheap. We're talking 600 quid. But let's not forget, when the Remarkable 2 came out, this device with a folio and a pen was up to 600 quid already. So, you know, this color device now seems like a much more capable thing, that bit bigger for a bit more real estate on the page as well. It's not quite A4 size. It's a good size, I think. I think that's going to be a good size for reading most PDFs. It's going to be a good size for getting lots of notes across the page. I think it's going to be really good. And one thing that's great about e-ink, by the way, is you can just move things around and cut things out, and you can make more space as well. And it's still thin and light with a really big battery as well for something of this size as well. So lots of good things as well. Yes, there's still the subscription. It's not too bad. It's £2.99, I think, or maybe $3.99. And so it's not, plan on getting the new offering, it's too expensive. $729 for the bundle. Most will buy us too much, in my opinion. I don't disagree at all, Neil. Absolutely don't disagree at all. I think that's a very fair point. It certainly isn't cheap. But I think also that if you were going to get rid of your RM2, you'd still get some money for that. You could maybe swing it, but tricky one, isn't it? Very tricky. Yeah, when you could actually join the Kickstarter for VWoods, although it's going to be a bit of a longer wait for that, and get a great e-ink tablet that does all the things you probably want to do. I think you've got to know, I need this color, I want this experience, I want this thing. I think you can maybe justify that for you, but you're right. It is two, isn't it? It's two VWoods, or it's two Go 10.3s right now. Went on and ordered one. Yeah, of course, they still have the 100-day return. Absolutely. It's the thing to do, mate. Pretty expensive. Is it a fair price yet? I think so, given the amount of innovation. It's a one-of-a-kind product at the minute. Nothing seems off the peg. But yeah, I think that's a difficult one. I mean, what can you get? You can get an iPad Air for that kind of price, can't you? You can get sort of basic iPad Air for that. And I think, well, that's a very different device. The Apple Pencil, you then have to pay on top of that as well. If you can see, I say this quite a lot here, if you can see a use for this in your life, if you can see a use for an e-ink tablet in your life, then buy with confidence, because they are brilliant. And so many of you will say, no, I wouldn't go back now. I couldn't go back to using a paper planner at work now. I couldn't go back to using paper notebooks and having them, stack up. And I used to use the Oxford ruled ones, and I liked them, and writing on them was very nice, but I never ever looked back on them. Whereas I still go back to notes. I still think to myself, oh yeah, do you remember that note I made on my Remarkable a few years ago where during that training that I was doing? I still go back to that. For me, it's more difficult because I've tried out lots of different e-ink tablets, but if you see it being your place for your calm and reflective notes, then do it. I think it's brilliant. Yeah. Should you return it? I don't think so, Gonzalo. It depends. What do you want? I mean, do you need the thing with color? Are you lusting after the shinier, newer one? Because don't forget, you just bought something that's half of the price. So, and is it half the utility? Almost certainly not. Yeah, I don't think the Supernote is going to be cheap either, though. I must admit, it's not going to be as cheap as the Boox ones. So that's your choice, maybe at this point, isn't it? Boox, I wouldn't say it's cheap, but it's certainly a lot of functionality for a great price. Supernote will be that midpoint, and this Paper Pro will be the Pro option.